I know a lot of us talk a lot of smack about Nintendo. I mean, it's honestly deserved. Their hardware is not that great, and honestly, even though I never really talk too much smack on YouTube anyway, I do criticize them, and the reason I do is just because I love them so much. I mean, you've never really seen me criticize Sony or Microsoft ever, and it is kind of sad to say that a lot of what Nintendo does is pretty scummy at the end of the day, because of how good stuff like their games and everything are. But amidst all that negativity, there was for once a positive. There's actually some good news that's coming out right now about an abduction that happened in Virginia to Arizona. And this is something that involved Nintendo, and I just wanted to talk about it because it is some very good news. Abducted teenager is now safe at home thanks in part to the collaborative work between Nintendo and the FBI, as well as volunteers from Hear Their Voices. ABC 15 reports that the unnamed child disappeared from her Virginia home on August 3rd of 2022. She was missing for 11 days before the FBI and Tolleson police pinpointed her location and surrounded her abductor's apartment in Arizona. And the way that they did that was, they've been looking for her before this point, but they had no avail in finding her until one of her friends went onto their Nintendo Switch and just saw she was online, and they're like, oh, hey, let me actually tell somebody about this because, why not, of course, So they did that, and then the FBI was like, oh, shoot, she actually has a device that we can track and pinpoint where she is, and Nintendo helped out with that, of course. So if it wasn't for her having her Nintendo Switch, they probably would not have found her. So very luckily, her friend just checked when she was on, and that was how they found her. But I'm just going to continue on reading this. The story starts naturally in Virginia. Shortly after the then 14-year-old went missing, volunteers from non-profit organization Hear Their Voices came to help. They posted flyers the next day and I don't know how to say that word, sorry, conveyed nearby neighborhoods in wider circles day by day. However, they did know that the girl had already been taken on a bus more than 2,000 miles away. Her abductor was reportedly a 28-year-old man, Ethan Roberts. He made friends with the victim on the internet before going to Virginia to abduct her, according to court documents. Yeah, the way that happened was, I think they met on Omegle, is what I heard, and it was for predatory purposes. They shared news between each other, and then he coerced her into meeting with either just him, and which also was what led to the abduction, or also just other strangers in general, which, pretty disgusting. But yeah. When the then 14-year-old was taken to Virginia, she was allowed to bring her Nintendo Switch games console. ABC 15 reports that during her captivity, the victim watched YouTube and downloaded a game, thereby dropping digital breadcrumbs thanks to a connected Nintendo Switch gaming friend in her Virginia locality. Authorities were alerted. The fact that somebody else down the road, another child, was bright enough to go, hey, look, my friend is online and she's been missing and I need to tell somebody, was pivotal, retired Arizona DPS Director Frank Milstead explained to ABC 15. Remember, the poster campaign by Hear the Voices will have helped raise the local awareness after the digital breadcrumbs were picked up on day 10, wait, sorry, I messed up right there while reading, my bad. The FBI and Nintendo worked to locate the girl's Switch console via its IP address. She was freed from Roberts' apartment the next day. I'm having the worst time reading right now. I am so sorry. And is now at home in Virginia recovering from her ordeal. Ethan Roberts was indicted in federal court for charges including child pornography and transportation of a minor with intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, says ABC 15. Roberts subsequently made a plea deal and this April began a sentence of 30 years in federal prison. Now, me personally, I don't think 30 years is even enough of a sentence for something like this. It's pretty abhorrent behavior, and I think it should honestly be a life sentence if nothing else. So, yeah, this wasn't something I really wanted to make a very long video for. It's just, also, that's another thing, I don't really talk about news as much anymore, but when it's something I really want to talk about, I would like to still cover news every now and again, but I don't want to really just cover news like I had been in the past. And since this was some very good news, then I just kind of wanted to share that with all of you. That's about it. But of course, as always, I hope y'all have a damn good one and take care of yourselves.